Nothing is more iconic than a Disney villain. From Jafar to Scar to Gaston to Ursula, there are so many brilliant Disney villains, and so much so that despite having some of the strongest I Want songs in history, it tends to be the villain songs that get more praise. Now, if you remember, I did a big tier list breaking down my thoughts on all of the I Want songs in Disney history. And today, I'm going to do something similar for the villains, the iconic villain songs. So I have gathered 25 different Disney villain songs, and I'm going to rank them on this tier list. But if you haven't seen my face before, hi, I'm Ellie, I talk about theatre. I'm the most chaotic theatre person on the internet. I do reviews, I do discussions, I do versus brackets and tier lists. And if any of that sounds interesting to you, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me, it helps out the channel. But let's dive in to this tier list. Now, we always start with the question, what? What is a villain song? Whereas the I Want song has a more, strict guideline. Has to be a song, has to be about a want, the want has to be clear, it's a certain style of song. A villain song can essentially be just a song sung by a villain. Doesn't even need to be the main villain. Some people would consider songs that are even sung about the villain to be villain songs. And knowing that with this list, I wanted to expand a little bit beyond just the animated Disney films, because I will be speaking about like 9 films, especially because modern Disney doesn't actually have that many villain songs. I have gone with this as my determining factor. A villain song has to be a song sung by the villain. They don't need to sing the entire song, but they need to join in for a little bit of it. The song must be in their villainous form. So, despite someone like Hans being a villain in Frozen, Love is an Open Door is not a villain song. Despite it being sung by a villain, I'm not counting it. Now, we are going to be speaking about Disney films, musicals here. Now, I've kind of opened the floodgates a little bit to include some live action stuff, like I've included the Muppets on this list. I've kind of very purposely decided to exclude TV and straight to DVD sequels from here. If this video does well and people want it, I'm very happy to dive into that, especially knowing some of the conversations about Descendants that's been going on the internet recently. But look, if I open the floodgates to that, I then have to speak about 1,000,001 Phineas and Ferb songs. I've then got to speak about all the direct sequels. I've got to speak about the Disney Channel movies. I haven't even heard of half of these. What is a Zombies? Does Zombies have a villain? Are the zombies the villains or the zombies good? I don't know. So, at the moment, I've kept it to cinematic releases and also 2 musicals that I know about from Disney. Shush. So, if you see a villain song that I've missed, put it in the comments. I might do it next time. That's the beauty of a tier list. It can evolve, it can grow. And we can do a sequel, just like the Muppets in the Muppets Most Wanted. But we've got our songs here, they're in a random order. Let's start with the most modern villain song to enter this list, one that has quite a contentious history. This is a Thanks I Get from Wish. Now, contrary to what people may have you believe, this is not the worst villain song. It's not great, but it's not the worst. Now, there's a lot going against this song. It doesn't really have a great chorus. The lyrics are very bland, but I don't think it's a complete disaster. I mean, Chris Pine is really charming with his delivery of a lot of these lines. He kind of sells it a lot more than it should be sold, but I don't think it's very high. So where would Wish land? I don't think it's high. It's not going anywhere above like D. But I don't think it's an F tier. If it is, I think it's going to end up being the highest in F tier. But I feel like at the moment, right now looking at this tier list with nothing else on it, I feel like I'm safe to put it at D for now. Like, I feel like Chris Pine does just enough to kind of save it a little bit. And I like the idea of the song. But yeah, especially when you're comparing it to the couple of songs that come next, like Gaston and For Unfortunate Souls. In a movie that is trying to pay tribute to a lot of Disney's history, it feels very weird that this is the style of music that they went with. But there is no one as slick as Gaston, not as quick as Gaston. And no one is heading up into A tier like Gaston. Gaston is a joyous song. Now, most of it is sung by the side villain, LeFou. he is villainous enough that we can include him in this. You know, he's a sidekick. He is also a villain. Some of these songs in here are completely sung by side villains. We gotta give them their chance. I think it's very telling and very fitting for a character like Gaston that their villain song is just 5 minutes of bragging about themselves. It perfectly shows off his ego as he like revels in it. It's so joyous, so big, and so grand. It is very fitting of a villain like Gaston. My, what a villain like Gaston. Up next with another great villain song is Poor Unfortunate Souls. Is the build-up of it. You get the slyness of Ursula. You see her manipulate. I love the animation that they use in this song as well. Ursula really gets this moment to come to life. I love the little turns to her sidekicks with like the pathetic line. Like she knows she's milking it and she is slaying. It's a lovely villain song, a classic villain song. I don't think it reaches the highest highs, but for a character like Ursula, I feel like it's very safe in the A tier, just below Gaston for me. Now, a villain song that you guys probably won't have heard of, but is actually surprisingly nice, is World's Greatest Criminal Mind from The Great Mouse Detective. If you have not heard of this, you know, pre-Disney Renaissance movie, it is essentially Sherlock, but they're mice. And if you want a camp villain, Ratigan is so camp. This song reminds me a little bit of Gaston. You know, it's bragging about how great they are. You know, they revel in their villainy. But then halfway through the song, they just take a massive break to murder one of their henchmen. Just, you know, casually, just feed them to a cat. It's brutal. And then he just goes straight back into a song. He is villain 101. I'd say this is a very safe B tier song. It's nice. It's very much more, you know, like early Disney style of villain song than it is like when we got to like the Renaissance of like the meat on the bones of villain songs. But being one of the villain songs coming just before that Renaissance, it's clear that it was starting to bring us into that direction. Mad Madam Mim, okay. You know, Mad Madam Mim is a song. It exists. It is there. Do I like it? No. It's okay, I guess. You know, I like the character it shows from Mad Madam Mim. She's kind of just going, oh, look at me. I can turn myself into a pig. I can look pretty. I'm Mad Madam Mim. But is there any weight to it? Not really. You know, like Gaston builds. Gaston really shows you everything that you need to know about that character. His ego, his extravagance, his power and his status, and the opinion of everyone in the town around him. Mad Madam Mim is just kind of there. She's having a gay old time. She's being silly and goofy, and that's great for her. Good for you. The question is, does it go into F tier or does it go into D tier? Honestly, I don't think it is bad enough to go into F tier. Like, F tier is safe for the songs that just, like, completely lack any character. And there is some character in Mad Madam Mim. I think that's the one thing I can give it. It's not a song that I love, but it's got character. So I'll put it into D tier. Just below Wish? Yeah, let's put it just below Wish. Trust in Me from Jungle Book. Now, I had to put 2 Jungle Book songs in here. My main rule was that I wasn't going to put on 2 songs for a villain, but if a film had more than one villain that had a significant enough song, I'd split them up and give them both their chance. And Trust in Me is, you know, definitely the weaker of the 2. I feel like it's more iconic than something like Wish. I would feel very safe putting it maybe into D. So it's not really the most memorable song in Jungle Book. What is the most memorable song in Jungle Book is I Wanna Be Like You. Oh, it's so fun. Oh, it's so jazzy and swingy. Oh, it's a joy. When we're talking of like villainy and showing off the villain, I don't think it has as much substance there. But the fact that, you know, you just come away from that song with like a smile, I feel like gets it at least a C tier. I feel like it kind of works in that placement. You know, I feel like it's going to be high C tier. I could probably put it into B if I was feeling generous, but you know, it's okay. You get a nice sense of Louis, and I think the song is such a bop that, you know, it brings it up a bit. Oh, do I put it in B? I'm second guessing myself. I'm going to stick with C, and we'll come back to it later. Elegant Captain Hook, F. I'm sorry. Did you remember that Peter Pan is a musical? No? This is why. This song barely lasts a minute. It's the definition of like early Disney not really having that many memorable songs. If I asked you to sing a lyric from Eloquent Captain Hook, could you? I don't know if you can. I surely can't. And I've listened to all of these songs like 5 minutes ago to this tier list. A villain like Captain Hook deserves so much better than this song. Let's be perfectly honest with ourselves. He's so iconic. His like villain song should be just as iconic, and it's not. Do you know who's a villain who gets a great iconic villain song? Oogie Boogie. Oh my god. But he is the boogie woogie man. Whoa. It's another one that kind of goes for that jazzy vibe. And I'm like, you get a sense of the joy that Oogie Boogie takes in this song. He's a villain that doesn't get that much screen time, but he honestly doesn't need it because his impact is so strong thanks to this song. I feel like this is high B tier right now. I put it in high B tier. I could go higher. But Oogie Boogie's song is a bop. It is an Oogie Boogie bop. What is less of a bop, but I still like it, is Kidnap the Santa Claus. It's okay. I like the playfulness of how it portrays these villains. You know, they're kind of side antagonists. I like the way that they kind of take this and plot about it. And, you know, they really come across as quite charming in this number. But when you're in the same musical as like Oogie Boogie's song, that is just like the pinnacle. Some of Danny Elfman's best music, it just doesn't really compare. I'd put it low into C tier. I'm happy with that for now. So, we come to Lady and the Tramp and the Siamese cat song. I feel like that's quite fitting for it. Okay. Beyond the joke, it is an F tier. It's not great. I mean, leading into the fact that it has not aged well at all. I think for how it, you know, has aged so badly is deserving of F tier enough. But there's not even like a good song to go along with it. You know, it's aged badly. It's not a good song. It honestly deserves lower than F tier. It is currently the worst on this list. I'm gonna be honest with you. All right, we've gone from the bottom of the barrel back up to the top. Shiny from Moana. If you want a side villain who makes a great impression, Tamatoa is one of those. Man is in the film for 5 minutes and still he's become so iconic. Moana isn't a film that has a very strong antagonistic force, so it is nice that we see like a mini villain within there. And then they get this song. I love a lot of the wordplay in there. I think lyrically, this is one of the strongest villain songs. And it's fun. It's also how they animate Tamatoa. He looks so like unhinged. Every time we're like zooming up on it, I mean, look at his face here. Look at his face here. Man, like the little crooked smile, like the twitching eye. Oh, he looks creepy, but also weirdly endearing at the same time. How have they managed that one? But the question is, can it beat some of the most iconic songs from the Disney Renaissance? I feel like I like it more than Poor Unfortunate Souls. I can say that safely, but do I like it more than Gaston? Kinda, yeah, actually. Kinda, yeah. I'm gonna put it very top of A tier. It's close to an S, but it's fun. I like my villains to be enjoying themselves. You know, my favorite villain songs are the ones where it's just the villains having a gay old time, and no one takes that mantle quite like Tamatoa. All right, we get into the Muppets films here. We're randomly going to take a break from all the animated ones, and we just have a slurry of live action and then Broadway. So let's go through this. First up, I love the two Disney Muppet films, right? The 2011 and 2014 ones are both so good. Underrated is Most Wanted. Muppets Most Wanted is actually pretty good and has some great songs. I mean, the interrogation song, so much fun. You get so many character moments with the Muppets being interrogated, and then the fast-paced patter sections as the chorus. You know, I think they did it. No, they didn't. Yes, they did, and we can pin it. And of course, the first film had its iconic songs too, specifically Man or Muppet. Now, I think Man or Muppet is the best song that comes out of the like newer Muppet films. Newer, they came out over a decade ago. But when you look at the entire score of those Muppet films, Most Wanted is better as a whole, and I think that is depicted with the villain song. Do you remember the name of the villain from the first Muppets film? Of course you don't. His name is Tex Richmond, or Rex Richmond. I can't even remember. That's how unmemorable he is. And his villain song is a 40-second rap that is really bad. Like, honestly, this would be the bottom of the tier list if Siamese Cat Song didn't exist. So right now, it goes very safely into the middle of F tier. It's not good. It's not good. I will happily do a video breaking down the Muppet songs and telling you why they're so good. All of the songs from the Muppets films absolutely slap, but this is not it. This is not it. They improve it in the sequel, but this is not it. And talking about improving it in the sequel, we have Constantine's song from Muppets Most Wanted. I'm Number One. This is a bop. It absolutely slaps. You get the slyness of Constantine. He's having so much fun, and you know when your villain's having fun, I'm having fun right with you, baby. Unfortunately, we do have to address the Ricky Gervais in the room with the fact that Ricky Gervais is in this song. And, yeah, not a big fan of Ricky Gervais for many reasons that I could list. And to say he brings down the quality of this number would be completely correct. He doesn't even bother to try and sing. He speaks through all of his lyrics. So, like, Constantine is over here completely serving, doing the absolute most, tap dancing on the rails and everything, and then Ricky Gervais can't even bother to sing. If I didn't like him for his constant awful jokes about trans people, I can also hate him for how much he ruins such a good song. So while everything in my power wants to rank this into S tier or A tier, I think it can't really go much higher than a B. Would I put it over Oogie Boogie? No, I'll put it just under Oogie Boogie. Oogie Boogie is more iconic. It's a solid B tier. Get rid of Ricky Gervais and then we can talk. Now, those are the two films that were made after Disney bought the Muppets. But Disney did have a hand in a couple of other Muppet films. A Christmas Carol is one, and I kind of debated with myself whether I would count Marley and Marley as a villain song. Some people do. I've decided not to. I just don't think they're villains enough. Mainly just because of the story structure of A Christmas Carol. You know, I wouldn't picture any of the ghosts as villains because, you know, ultimately they are all trying to help Scrooge become a better person. Like, technically, the villain of A Christmas Carol is old Scrooge. If I was going to put Marley and Marley on here, C tier, probably. Maybe higher. But what we can count, because it was made under Disney and features the villain in a strong way, is Tim Curry's villain song from Muppets Treasure Island. A professional pirate. Now, if you put Tim Curry into something, I'm going to enjoy it. That is a national treasure right there. And he gets a thrill out of playing villains. Think of his iconic villain roles. Pennywise, Frankenfurter, that one Russian guy in that video game.
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
So immediately, I am more on board for this villain song. Tim Curry is great in this song. Is it the most memorable? Not really. But I like it. It's okay. It serves its purpose. It's a cute Muppet song that does what the Muppets do best. So I would put it on the lower end, personally. Maybe, am I okay with putting it in C tier? I don't think it's as iconic as C tier. I'd probably maybe put it top of D. But looking at this, I'd probably say that the Jungle Book one is a little bit stronger. I'll put it there for now. Like, I think it's nice. There's definitely a massive quality drop between like this and Wish, Mad Madam Mim. Maybe they should go into F. Or maybe these two could go up. I'll sort it out in a little bit. But I'm pretty safe putting it there. And our other live action film that we can talk about is Pete's Dragon. Every Little Piece is a villain song from Pete's Dragon, where the villains are talking about how they can sell the dragon. They can make money. It's nice, and that's where my opinions on this song end. Okay, I don't have much attachment to Pete's Dragon. I haven't seen the film. I've listened to it a couple of times for this tier list, and you know, I came away being like, cool. I was like, yeah, I like the villain. They're quite nice. I like how they bounce off each other. Yeah, I don't know if Wish is better or if Wish is just more memorable. I don't know. I don't know. I think D tier is right for it, but I don't know. I'll leave it there. I'm not quite happy with that placement. But yeah, now we can talk about our 2 Broadway shows, and then we can get back into the iconic songs. Now, because I'm about to speak about the villain song from the Aladdin musical, I am also going to bring forward the villain song from the Aladdin film. Because when you listen to Prince Ali Reprise, oh my god, every time I listen to it, it makes me want a great villain song for Jafar. It's kind of a shame that all he really gets is a little side reprise. Because it's so joyous. His cackle as he wins and Gough slaps the entire tower to the other side of the world. This is a villain who has just won, who is at the height of their villainy. They are loving life, and Jafar is just oozing that confidence. But it's too short, you know? It doesn't give you enough substance. It's nice, it's great, but it makes you want something bigger, you know? I feel like I can't put it any higher than like C tier because it just doesn't have enough substance. So in comes the Aladdin musical, where they have the space and time to give Jafar a true villain song. And they give him Diamond in the Rough. Be careful what you wish for, because Diamond in the Rough is one of the most filler songs to ever filler. Jafar deserves so much better than this. You know, it's nice to give music to this moment as they're trying to convince Aladdin to go into the Cave of Wonders, but it's just so forgettable. I feel like that's my general problem with the Aladdin musical version, is that you've got some of the most iconic songs ever written. You've got Prince Ali, Friend Like Me, A Whole New World. Like, these songs are so legendary, and everything they add is just, it sticks out like a sore thumb. On principle, I kind of want to put it into F tier, but I think it's higher quality than that. I like it more than Mad Madam Mim. Do I like it more than the villain song for Pete's Dragon? I feel like I like it more than Wish. I'll put it there, but I'll be perfectly honest, that's a nice placement for that song. It's really bland. Bottom line from Newsies is another villain song that I feel like, you know, doesn't do as much as it could. I think the hard thing comparing Pulitzer as a villain to these characters is that they're so much larger than life, where Pulitzer feels a lot more natural, you know? Like, look at the other villains on this list. You have Jafar, so over-the-top villainy. You have Tamatoa, who is a giant crab. All of these so much larger than life villains, whereas Pulitzer is just really natural, you know? He's just a greedy businessman. So it is quite hard to compare his song to everyone else's, because it is so different. But I like it enough. I'd put it just above A Professional Pirate, maybe. Bottom line is nice. It's not that memorable. It gives you a nice little insight to Pulitzer, his thought process, you know, his lack of care for the newsies, and the reasons why they have to strike against him. But as I say, it's hard to stand out on a list with some of the most camp villains to ever camp. And now we can get back to our animated list. We have 6 more to go through, starting with Mother Knows Best. Mother Knows Best is great. I would like to say that first of all. I think Mother Knows Best is the strongest material in Tangled. And I think a lot of that is down to the performance. Donna Murphy understood the assignment playing Mother Gothel. She's so manipulative, so like teasing. Like, she makes this song feel so light. It's got such light orchestrations as well. Murphy absolutely sells the number, sells it all the way to A tier. I don't think it quite reaches like the same heights as like Gaston for me, but I feel like it's safe to put it just above Poor Unfortunate Souls. I really like it. What's really interesting though is that so far doing this ranking, not a single one of these songs has reached S tier yet. When I did my I Want list ranking, the S tier was like completely filled. It feels like this is getting a more even distribution. Can the next one get up there? And it's Friends on the Other Side. Oh, an absolute bop. Now, we have to talk about the icon Keith David, because when I think about Friends on the Other Side, it's the bit where that became a TikTok meme for a while, where it's just like, will you shake a poor sinner's hands? And the change immediately as he shakes it, where he does the laugh and all of like the music starts cranking up and it becomes more sinister. And he's just like, yes, I've done it. He completely drops the mask immediately. Oh, it's so good. I love Friends on the Other Side. Would I put it A tier? I'm maybe a little bit more hesitant. I feel like B tier fits it more for my personal preference. I think it's great. Definitely on the higher end of this list. Is it better than Oogie Boogie? I would say I like it more than Oogie Boogie. I'm happy with it being top of B tier for now. All right, taking a break from the really iconic villains, we have Home on the Range. Letting this be random was a weird decision. I don't know why I made this random. I should have done it in year order. This song has a title that I'm going to have to read. It is Yodel, Idle, Edel, Idle, Ooh. Which you may be thinking, that just sounds like a bunch of sounds. It is. Essentially, this is quite a fun villain song. Basically, Home on the Range is about cows, right? And the cows, they're cowing. And then this guy's like, I want to range up the cows. And then he sings a little song, and the cows get hypnotized by the yodeling. It's nice. It's cute. Does what it needs to do, I guess. Like, it's nice. I feel like it's at least C tier. I feel like bottom of C tier works very well for it. I feel like it lacks a little bit of substance that some of these other ones have. Like, it's definitely not as iconic as I Want to Be Like You. I just feel like you get to a point where it kind of goes, like, a little bit too far into the yodeling, and it kind of loses me a little bit. But, you know, I like it. It's decent. For a film that I haven't seen, the fact that it manages to climb up to, like, C tier is pretty good. And here we go. I'm so glad it saved this towards the end of the list, because Hellfire. Oh my god, Hellfire. If you clicked on this video and you didn't think Hellfire was going to top this list, I don't know what you were smoking. Because I have not seen a villain song have such an impact. It is brutal. It is dark. Man is like bargaining for his life with all these like hell priests coming and cowering over him. Like, the animation in this section is terrifying. If I had seen this as a kid, I would have been crying. But I think this is a villain song with such a great build, and as it builds and builds and builds, it's just so grand and gives you such a strong sense of who Frollo is. Oh my god, straight up into S tier. Did you have any doubts in your mind? I hope you did not. Honestly, I feel like I could just rename S tier to Hellfire tier, because it is just so fire. Now, Pocahontas technically has 2 villain songs, but as I said, I wanted to pick one villain song for each villain. I didn't want to give villains 2 songs, so picking between Savages and Mine, I kind of went more towards Mine, because I felt like it matched the other villain songs on this list. You know, it feels more like Gaston, it feels more like these ones on here. Mine fits the bunch a little bit more than Savages. And yeah, it's okay. I don't have that much nostalgia for Pocahontas, so maybe that's kind of keeping me away. Obviously, this is another film that in areas hasn't aged amazingly well. I think it's better than the Home on the Range song. I don't think it's better than Kidnap the Santa Claus. I feel like I'll put Mine there. It's okay. I like the way it portrays Ratcliffe. You know, you get a sense of his selfishness and his goals and his ambitions. I feel like that's its strongest element. It's not a bad song, but it's just, I don't think it has lasted the test of time as much as some of these others. And finally, for this list, we have Be Prepared. This, I feel like out of all the songs on this list, is the only challenger to Hellfire. Scar's villain song is a treat. He's sneaky, he's sly. I even love the little bits of dialogue in there and this delivery of that. And the hyenas being like, oh, what are we going to do to him? It's just like, we're going to kill him, of course. He's so camp, and you can really get that sense of him reveling in this dream. This is probably one of my favorite animated villain songs. Like, I love Hellfire, but like the green smoke, the marching hyena section, which is very visually reminiscent to a certain historical event, as well as just being an absolute bop. Oh my god, Be Prepared builds so well. It's a great villain song. One of my favorite moments in the Lion King film, and I feel like goes safely into S tier. Can it and will it beat Hellfire? I don't think. I think they're very much on par with each other, but I would personally say that Hellfire is my favorite Disney villain song. Now, Before we end, is there anyone I would move around? I mean, I'm quite happy with this ranking so far. I am quite happy with this. I feel like the only one that can maybe go up is I Want to Be Like You. Like, I feel like I'm happy putting I Want to Be Like You over Prince Ali and to the bottom of B tier. I feel like that song is iconic enough that it goes there. And is Wish worse than the Pete's Dragon song? Yeah, let's be perfectly honest. What do you think? Give me your rankings in the comments. I love how subjective these topics are, so I absolutely adore hearing all your different opinions. What would top your list? I mean, if you want to, break down the entire thing and show me your own tier list in the comments. Let me know all your thoughts down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me, it helps out the channel. Here's some links to some other videos on screen right now, and a link to my Instagram if you want to drop me a follow over there. I also have other social links and a merch store in the description down below. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.